Hi, and welcome to the A-level psychology presentation at JCG. For those of you that are considering A-level psychology in the sixth form, I'm going to very briefly talk you through what to expect from A-level psychology. I would suggest that you come along to our taster session for more information, or ask myself or Miss Howard for further information if you are interested. So, let's talk about psychology and what psychology is. And as psychology is a new subject at A-level, then it's really important that you know what you're signing yourself up for. So by definition, psychology is the scientific study of human behaviour and brain. And the specification that we follow, the OCR specification, offers a really broad understanding of what psychology is about, and it will equip you with a range of skills that will be beneficial to you in later life, such as the ability to write a good argument, to interpret data, to critically assess whatever comes your way, and it leads into a very diverse range of careers and degree courses afterwards. And psychology, many of our students report, has helped them beyond A-level much later in life. If some of these questions that are on the board tickle your fancy, then psychology might well be for you. These are all questions that we try to ask as part of A-level psychology, and it also reflects the diversity of questions that we ask and try to answer. So, for example, can we really rely on eyewitness testimonies of crime, or is our memories malleable? Could we be influenced by the way that we're interviewed following a crime being committed? From a biological perspective, can our brains physically change in relation to the environment? And yes, they can. There's a concept of brain plasticity, which shows that London taxi drivers, because of the cognitive demands that are placed on their brain in navigating London, the City of London, then the hippocampus develops far more than if you were a non-taxi driver. Okay, can we spot a psychopath? Do they talk a different language? Yes, they do. And so psychology might even save your life at some point in the future. Very briefly, this is how the course pans out. So in year one, you study two components. You study research methods, which is the sort of underpinning knowledge that you need about how psychologists conduct their research. And then component two is very broad, and it takes, as you'll see on the next slide, broad areas or themes in psychology. So you look at the different parts of psychology that make up the discipline, and the interesting thing about psychology is that nobody agrees with each other. So it takes the main areas of psychology and it links them to certain key studies. Okay, with research methods, just flicking back, with research methods, as you can see, it's a bit more formulaic. It's more about the process of the research and how to undertake good quality scientific research. In component 3, this is mainly taught in year 2. Students study 3 areas of psychology. It's called applied psychology because the idea is you're applying psychology to the everyday life, to the everyday world. And so we look at things like mental health, its causes, its treatments. We look at criminal psychology and what causes crime. Is prison effective? Is the processing of information in criminal investigations accurate? Okay, those are some of the things that we cover. And child psychology, the final one, looks at aspects that affect children's development, such as the development of intelligence, the development of cognitive skills, and things like, does advertising have an impact on kids? And yes, it does. That's why certain cultures, countries don't advertise directly to kids, unlike perhaps the UK, for instance. This results in 3 equally weighted exams. So at A level, you would be taking 3 2-hour exams that are fairly similar weighted. In terms of how it's taught, it's fairly similar to other A-level classes in that you have 5 hours of classwork a week, which should be supplemented by 5 hours of work outside class, and then the teaching of the units is equally split between myself and Miss Hallett. We try as well to enrich the experience of psychology through different initiatives and trips. So, for example, if you take A-level psychology, you can look forward to our annual Brain Day. We invite a neuroscientist, Dr. Sutton, to JCG, and he runs some brilliant workshops on brain dissections and presents some really cutting-edge research that's going on in neuroscience. We also offer on-island trips in the past to the Magistrates Court and to Lemoy Prison to help with criminal psychology. Some of this has been somewhat restricted by COVID more recently. And we've also tried to get up and running previous trips that we offered, including a London trip. So the psychology department offer a London trip where we visit, as it says there, a range of places that would be relevant to A-level psychology, including the Sigmund Freud Museum, the Bethlehem Museum of the Mind, a phobia workshop. We also have done a Jack the Ripper walking tour in the evening, which is quite fun. And we've also offered a Vienna trip, where again we visit the Sigmund Freud Museum. Freud actually fled from Austria to London to escape Nazi persecution, hence why there's two museums. And we also visit a Museum of Visual Illusion again, which is really fun, and the Mauthausen concentration camp outside of Vienna, where which is relevant to things like social psychology and obedience and the reasons for it. We have also in the past offered Psychology Academy, which runs in the spring term, where we try to get outside speakers in to talk about psychology and the psychology that they use in their day-to-day work, which can be really helpful if you're thinking with psychology beyond the curriculum or beyond JCG rather, and thinking of perhaps taking it to degree course or even into becoming a professional psychologist in the future. We also support ourselves with a psychology clinic for students that just need extra help with the day-to-day aspects of studying A-level psychology. And finally, just some things to consider before you take psychology. It is classified as a science. Therefore, you do need reasonable maths and science skills in order to cope with that. GCSE grade 6 is brilliant if you've got it, because you will be fine with the content. This is also a requirement for many undergraduate psychology degrees should you want to go on to it further. Okay, so that's something to consider. A grade 5 is fine. Okay, we don't have a problem with a 5. But anything less than that, you do need to come and speak to the psychology department in terms of how you'd be able to cope with the science and the maths content that make up A-level psychology. English is also really beneficial because of the essay writing that is involved. And that's it. That's us. That's A-level psychology. Should you have any further questions, then please drop me an email, a.jervis@jcg or just pop into R24 or R25 and ask myself and Miss Hallam any questions that you may have. Thank you very much.